guys, it's Lego Hobo 910 here with another Lego video. And in this video I'll be showcasing my Osgiliath MOC from Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. So let's just jump right into it and not waste any time. Before we get into that though, hey look, it's the graph. You all know what the graph means. Please subscribe, it helps me. Thanks, bye. So as I said, this MOC is based on Osgiliath, specifically for when it shows up in Return of the King, and it's invaded by the orcs through the water. I didn't really try to replicate any specific section or anything shown in the movie. I just tried to get the, specific architectural style and recreate the general scene. I didn't make sure, that it was an exact replica of the movie, just had a similar idea. I have the river here and then a bunch of ruins throughout with the giant battle going on in the center and up on that bridge. So now let's jump in and look at it closer. So this MOC is 2 base plates big, 2 of the large 48 by 48 gray base plates. And something interesting I did here that I don't normally do with my MOCs is I didn't actually lock these together, so it can separate for when I want to move it around easier. I can just, take it apart into 2 chunks and move it, which is something I don't normally do, and I'm probably going to start doing that more often, because it did make this a lot easier to move around when I had to move it from various places, or, I wanted to work on the back, but only on this section. I could just pull out this base plate and spin it around to get to the back. So that was really helpful, and I'm going to start doing that more often. I might, implement just, small locks, just put a little plate there. But I think not locking it is super helpful. And then this MOC has about 60-ish minifigures. There's about 20 Gondorian soldiers and about 40 orcs. I think a little more, a bit closer to 50. So it's pretty jam-packed, especially considering most of it is concentrated in 2 areas, here and up on the bridge. There are a few minifigures sprinkled throughout, over here and stuff, but for the most part it's up in 2 separate places. So let's start by taking a closer look kind of at this bottom ground scene and then into the river. So we're starting on the outskirts of the town here before moving into the battle. And this is very simple, it's just some gray, or some green, a few different shades of green just to, get kind of the beginning of Pelennor Fields that Osgiliath runs into. And then just a few small ruins for the border. And then we can just kind of gloss over that. There's not that much interesting stuff going on. And then we get into this big battle, which has probably about half of the minifigures. It's not a very clean battle, but I think it has a good aesthetic. When I'm building Lego battles, there's 2 types I like to go for. One where it's very messy like this, where it's just skirmishes throughout, no real specific battle lines, and just super messy. But then you can also, build 2 specific battle lines and see where the clash perfectly is. This one I had thought the messier look made more sense and also fit more with what we see in the movie where it's just chaos. There is still some, pretty clear movement of troops from the boats. If you look, you can see a pretty solid line of orcs here. And then, for the most part, there aren't many orcs over here. It's just a solid line of Gondorian soldiers. But even then, there are still some Gondorians mixed in and some orcs mixed in into the battle lines. So it's quite messy, but you can still kind of see the flow of movement of the troops, which I think is important to get kind of a realistic feel, so you can understand where everyone's coming from. And for the most part, it's just a big battle. I'll also take a second to show you some of these custom Gondorian soldiers. They're really simple. It's just some armor pieces I ordered, gray torsos, some helmets I had laying around, gray legs, and a face. It's pretty standard, but we don't have any official Gondorian soldier minifigures, so I think that does a fine enough job. Then also, back here we have the Faramir figure, which I'll take out real quick. Once again, custom figure here. If the camera will focus. There we go. It's just using Aragorn's torso and legs from the Battle at the Black Gate set. Stole this green cape from Hela. That's Obi-Wan's face, and then Boromir's hair. It's pretty simple, but I think it looks like Faramir. We'll just chuck him back in there. Now let's move on towards kind of the river and the banks of the river. Now for the river, for the water here, I used a pretty standard technique that I use a lot, but I've never done it on this big a scale. Basically, it's really simple. I just take these 1x2 trans blue tiles and then put them over a bunch of studs, and I think it creates a cool look. And then I could also kind of make the water look a bit deeper at the center by having dark blue instead of the light blue underneath it, to make it look a bit deeper and darker as it gets towards the center. So it's pretty basic, except I had to build it a lot bigger than I normally do, and therefore had to make a lot of part orders in order to get all the pieces for the water. And then something that I had kind of fun doing once we get towards the banks more, is you can see, the river kind of deviates from the plan a bit and goes and kind of pools up into these little shallow puddles where you can just see the stone straight through it. which is, once again, something that I directly took from the movie that we saw, where they're kind of fighting in these shallows and these little pools and puddles right along the banks. And I think the banks of the river are probably my favorite part of the MOC and one of the more interesting parts. And we have all these different arches and sections that the orcs are coming through. Like this arch here. There's kind of some messy stuff back there. Then the orcs are coming on these simple boats. They're real simple. It just, it folds. It has an oar. It's nothing too crazy and special, but I think it does the trick. Then we have some more stuff over here, some roofs. There isn't that much going on this side of the bank, just some ruins and a few stray orcs. So now we'll jump on over back to the other side of the battle to go towards the main structure of this build, which once again, near the end, I was running out of parts for and had to order a lot more. I had to make, I think, 3 or 4 separate part orders for this MOC. And so we have a really, really freaking simple stair build here. Past the statue in the courtyard, it's just, bricks going up, nothing too crazy and special. And then that leads up to kind of this little roofed area here, which, once again, really simple, just using some arches I bought, and then a simple little slope for the roof. Something I tried to do with this MOC as well that you'll notice is most of it's light gray, as I feel like that's the color that fits best. But I tried to break it up with dark gray sometimes. For example, roofs here and there. I figured I'd have the roofs be a slightly different color to add some visual interest, as well as areas that the walls are broken and punched in. Like you'll see this goes back half a stud on a jumper plate there. It's like broken. I decided to have kind of more of the interiors of the wall be a bit darker gray. Like maybe they used a less refined or less pure stone on the inside just to kind of fill the space, and then put the nicer stones on the outside to make it look better. And so now that the city's all broken down, you can see some of these less pure stones on the inside. Or also, I have some kind of darker gray up there for maybe the stones kind of burnt or charred from flames from the battles and stuff. So I thought it would break up the visuals a bit, and I tried to keep it mostly consistent by mostly just using it on areas where it ducks in, like there, or even way over here, where it just kind of pops in. I decided to use dark gray. So now let's move right on up towards the bridge. So I think the bridge is a really interesting point of interest in this. I think the main kind of focal point of the MOC is the big battle down in the courtyard. It's just what tends to draw my eye. But I think this is a really interesting thing up at the top. And it was also kind of, a fun challenge to build a full bridge that, there's nothing under it, it's suspended. So what I did is I used a couple of these 16 by 16 plates, just like this. 16 by 16 Technic bricks. Just connect them like that with some Technic studs on the center. Then obviously build all across the top and bottom to reinforce it. I just kind of impulse bought these one time off of Bricklink. I saw a store was selling them and decided I'd buy them. Figured they'd come in handy. And, well, they came in handy here for Osgiliath in order to build that big bridge and keep it fairly strong. This is, pretty sturdy. I'm pushing decently and there's just no flex. So I think I did a good job there, and I'm proud of myself because I don't normally, build overhangs or bridges or anything. This is kind of the first major suspended thing I've ever built. And then I just have a giant battle going across the top here, where we have a whole army of orcs charging across the top to fight the Gondorian soldiers here who have built a bit of a phalanx, building just little scenes, which is something I like to do in battles as well in order to break it up. I don't just put troops everywhere. I like building kind of small scenes to show little things and kind of give different characters story. For example, here we have this guy knocking the orc off the bridge with the spear, or over here, this guy getting shot by the orc sharpshooter way over here. There's little stories like that I feel really help break up battle scenes and make them have a bit more visual interest instead of just being a bunch of minifigures thrown everywhere. If you set up individual skirmishes and battles and show, individual things and takedowns and whatnot, it really breaks it up. So then let's go in and take a closer look at the bridge. I also decided to have some dead soldiers and orcs and stuff here because it would make sense, not everyone is surviving. And then the battle just continues along. I built some columns here, which I thought would be kind of fun and interesting to just have these columns where it looks like, there should be some big dome or roof or something that has clearly since been destroyed. And before we close off, I just decided, we'll take a quick look at the back. There isn't that much going on over here. It's pretty flat wall, I knew this wasn't going to be seen that much and wasn't kind of the main view, but I decided I'd detail it a bit. We have some greeblings, some marks, a bunch of debris and stuff. Figured it'd be better to add a little bit of detail. you know, it's not that important, but I just figured I'd show you, as well as maybe take a look at the underside of the bridge here, where once again, I didn't really need to detail it, but I did a bit of detailing, you know, made sure to fill under these plates, because underneath they normally look really ugly, so I decided to actually fill it, as well as kind of add some of these cheese slopes upside down to get a bit of an arch. So now let's close out the video. So that was my Osgiliath MOC. I hope you liked it. I know the video was a bit shorter, but I noticed I tend to get a bit rambly in videos, so I tried to be more conscious of that and cut down on the video length and a bit of the rambling and make it more short and sweet and to the point, hit some of the bigger moments. If you liked what you saw, please consider liking the video and also subscribing. I spent, I think, close to $200 on this MOC, so if you subscribe, that'd be much appreciated, so I can, you know, keep justifying spending money on doing things like this. Yeah, that's all from me for now, and bye.